Greetings to our most venerable, Dr. Dhammasami, and all the Sangha members and nuns, scholars, and students. Good afternoon, distinguished guests and esteemed participants. This is the third afternoon session for the first day of the 11th International Conference organized by Shan State Buddhist University on the endeavors of prominent figures in teaching and practicing Buddhism. Celebrating the 60th birthday of our Rector Sayadaw, Dr. Dhammasami. I am Ikanzo, a first-year MA student in Bali and Buddhist Studies at SSBU, and I am honored to be your MC this afternoon. Today, we have 3 speakers from Sri Lanka who will be presenting over Zoom. Thank you for being here with us. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to introduce Dr. Shan, who will be our moderator this session. Dr. Shan began his academic journey at Mandalay University, where he earned his Bachelor's of Arts English Honors degree in 1985, and later a Master's degree. His career and expertise has led him to many universities as an English lecturer, and in 2006, he received his PhD from Yangon University. In 2014, he took on the role of Rector at Bamar University. Today, he serves as the Rector of the Yangon University of Foreign Languages, Secretary General of the Myanmar National Commission for UNESCO, and Secretary of the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Committee, continuing to make a lasting impact on Myanmar's educational landscape. May I invite the distinguished Dr. Shan to moderate our session this afternoon. Professor, please take the floor.
Firstly, I would like to pay my homage to the most venerable Oswald Sayadaw and all the members of Sangha who are present in this hall. And I would like to pay my respect to all participants being present in the session. Today, this is session 5, and I would like to introduce with my presenters. In this session 5, we have 3 presentations. The very first paper is Anagarika Dhammapala, a phenomenological analysis of spiritual nationalism, religious revival and anti-colonial resistance in Sri Lanka. The second paper is From Scholar to Reformer, Vipula Rahula Thero's vision for a modern Buddhist education in the post-independent Sri Lanka. The third is innovative Buddhist meditation techniques. I think that all these papers are based from context is Sri Lanka. And for the first paper, there are 2 presenters, scholars who developed this research paper. The first author is, let me introduce with the first author who are online. Reverend Bukandi Amanda Barney. His Holiness holds a BSc in Plant Biotechnology from the University of Colombo and MSc in Chemistry from Wakwam University, South Korea, and another MA in Buddhist Study from the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. His Holiness is a PhD candidate at the Buddhist and Pali University, focusing on Buddhist studies. The second author, let me introduce, Professor Nilanda Desanyaye is head of Department of Buddhist Culture at the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. He holds a BA, MPhil, and PhD, PhD in Buddhist civilization from the University of Sri Sayadaw, specializing in Buddhist culture, applied Buddhism and Buddhist arts and crafts, and with numerous publications in this area. So may I invite our presenters giving your presentation. The floor is yours.
Honorable members of Mahasangha and Venerable nuns and all the respected participants, I seek your permission to commence my presentation here. And I am Bukkande Amatabani from Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka. And today I'm here to present my research on Anagarika Dharmapala, a phenomenological analysis of spiritual nationalism, religious revival, and anti-colonial resistance in Sri Lanka. And let's move on to the introduction. Anagarika Dharmapala was a prominent figure in Buddhist revival and nationalist movement during British colonial rule, and he dedicated his life to revitalizing Buddhist practices and sacred sites such as Buddha Gaya, and worked to establish a strong Sinhalese Buddhist identity. His activism extended globally, positioning him as an influential figure in Buddhism and interfaith dialogue. And this study explores how Dharmapala lived experience under colonialism shaped his ideologies by employing phenomenological approach. And when we consider the colonial rule and colonial impact, the oppressive British rule disrupted traditional Buddhist practices and Sinhalese identity. Dharmapala perceived Western influence as a threat to local values, and which led him to counter colonial dominations through Buddhist reform. And this research examines his phenomenological perspective and his ideologies, how they were formed and how they are constructed. And let's move on to the literature review. There are several literatures I would like to present here, but main literature I have reviewed are Amunugama and Bond, as well as Mortis and Kemper. These studies explore Dharmapala's role in promoting Buddhism within colonial framework and his global presence at events like 1893 Parliament of World's Religions, and his vision to unite Buddhist world against colonial powers. Although these contributions are valuable, they overlook Dharmapala's lived experience and his so I'm going to fill that gap using this study. And let's move on to the objectives. Main goal was to analyze influenced his to examine his critiques and of Western influence called external world and focus of no experience. And bracketing isolates consciousness to analyze structures of thought and perception. And intentionality means every experience is being directed towards something, and life world means immediate pre-reflective life experience. And let's move on to the methodology. Here I have used NVO 14 to thematically analyze the data I have received from Guruge 1965 literature. And this was conducted in three steps. Familiarization was the first step, where I have read all the literature regarding this Guruge's work, and then coding was done. Initial coding has 30 different codings, and emerged themes were identified using Excel, and uh, there were 6 themes, and finally content analysis was done to find out word frequencies and their connections. And let's move on to the results and discussion. I have identified 6 different themes. Onwards, I'm going to talk about them. Buddhist revival and influence is the first one, and critique of Western influence, economic justice and challenges, nationalism, education and governance, righteousness and ethical teachings, and social justice and compassion. And first theme is Buddhist revival and influence. Dharmapala's effort to revive Buddhism began with reclaiming sacred sites like Buddha Gaya, and he saw this revival as essential not only for religious purposes but for strengthening Sinhalese identity. His work was deeply tied to cultural pride and linking Buddhist teachings with Sinhalese heritage. Importantly, Dharmapala promoted Buddhism as a global ethical force, and it was spread beyond Sri Lanka. And his own words, he sought to recall the era when Bodh Gaya was thriving Buddhist center, as we can see with the quote here. And let's move on to the second theme. Uh, Here, Dharmapala was in a critique of Western influence. Dharmapala was mm, criticizing British colonial education as a means of eroding Sinhalese values and identity, which he felt disconnected Sri Lankans from their heritage. And he argued Western influence stripped the Sinhalese of their dignity and pushing them away from their roots. For instance, he lamented that village education under a British administration lacked integrity and respect for local culture. That's why he said the education that village folks receive at the hands of British government is unworthy of civilized administration. And let's move on to the uh, next theme. Economic justice and challenges. Under colonial rule, Sri Lanka faced economic decline, and Dharmapala felt it was crucial to counteract this, and he emphasized the need for self-resilience and promoting local industries to reduce dependency on foreign goods. And Dharmapala initiated programs that trained Sringhalese men to craft like weaving and pottery. And one memorable quote captures his frustration. We allow our own cow to die of starvation, feeding the cow in a distant Switzerland and Denmark. So his vision for economic justice was to deeply connect to restoring dignity and self-sufficiency among Sinhalese people. And let's move on to the next theme, nationalism, education, and governance. Dharmapala believed that through progress required an education system rooted in Sinhalese values and Buddhist teachings. He saw education as tool not just for academic growth, but for initiating national pride and ethics in future generations. He argued that children were being taught to reject their culture. That's why he said our children are taught to despise their own culture, and he did not trust on colonial rule. That's why he said a subject race could not produce heroes. No progress is possible because we are oppressed. And let's move on to the next theme, uh, righteousness and ethical teachings influenced by figures like Emperor Asoka and King Dutugamunu, Dharmapala promoted ethical leadership grounded in Buddhist principles, and he rejected the materialism he saw growing in colonial society. And Dharmapala was dedicated to preserving a culture that emphasized morality and righteousness. He discouraged Sinhalese people from adopting foreign habits and saying he said that believe not the alien who is giving you arak toddy whiskey. His vision focused on fostering a society based on Buddhist values. And let's move on to the next theme. This is the last theme. Dharmapala's vision extend to social justice, advocating compassion, charity, and fairness in the society. And in this case, I have seen that he has shown some of Marxist ideas also, and he has criticized colonialism as uh, bourgeoisie, and he believed that morality was the foundation of domestic and social harmony. Dharmapal promoted charity and compassion as essential Buddhist virtues, encouraging the Sinhalese to practice self-denial and altruism. His teachings emphasized that just society could only be achieved through ethical and compassionate actions. And let's talk about the interconnectedness among these themes. I have analyzed the data using NVO 14, and I have figured out these connections within the themes. And here we can see righteousness and ethical teachings and social justice and compassion has very higher or stronger similarity compared to word similarity, and other themes have distant similarities. And when we consider critique of Western influence and economic justice, those has similarity with the word similarity index. And when we consider the coding similarity, uh, first two themes show the same similarity, but others have different similarities in the coding. And let's move on to the word analysis, word count analysis. Here I have carried out word count and word abundance. Here abundance analysis, and here we can see most used words in his vocabulary: Buddhist, Buddha, and Buddhism, religion, Buddhist, world, doctrine, Ceylon. These words represent his nationalism, ethics, and Buddhist identity, where those were interwoven in Dharmapala's mission. And uh, let's move on to the implications of Dharmapala's revivalist ideology. Dharmadas 1992 emphasizes that language is a pivotal role in Sinhalese nationalism, intertwined with identity and cultural pride. According to Wittgenstein, the world is totality of facts, not things. Knowledge of the world comes from understanding three facts and other ideological or logical relationships within logical space. So, identifying word frequencies and higher frequencies of the words, we can identify that what has driven his ideologies and his mission in the society. In this case, we can see that he had sort of spiritual nationalism, blended national identity with religious revival, and creating unique ideology here. And he tried to rebuild lost confidence and heroism in that society. And he tried to resist colonialism with the spiritual path and political stance built on the Buddhist teachings, and influence modern Sinhalese identity and educational reforms and cultural pride. In this case, he is one of the people who influenced Buddhism and to create mm, Protestant Buddhism, as explained by Obesekara and Gombrich. And this was created against Christianity and the colonial rule. It was formed in late 90th century and early 20th century. And Anagarika Dharmapala was a prominent figure who influenced Buddhism and creating this type of Buddhist form. And let's move on to the conclusion. To conclude, Dharmapala's ideology linked Buddhist ethics with social and national aspirations of Sinhalese people. His personal experiences under colonial oppression inspired a commitment to cultural and spiritual revival. Through his study, we gain insights into how his lived experience fueled his activism. Dharmapala's legacy serves as a testament to power of cultural resilience and provide a framework for understanding how personal engagement with one's heritage can lead to broader social impact. And let's move on to the key contributions. This study highlights the academic and practical contributions of Dharmapala's ideology. Academically, it demonstrates how lived experience can drive spiritual nationalism and anti-colonial sentiments. It also opens pathways for future research on phenomenology within religious and political movements. Practically, it offers a framework for understanding cultural resilience and especially in context facing external cultural threats like imperialism, showing Dharmapala's methods as a blueprint for maintaining cultural identity and moral integrity. And uh, these are my references. Some of my references I have used, and I would like to finish this with one of his quotes, which is very prominent. And let me be reborn. I would like to be born again 25 times to spread Lord Buddha's Dhamma. His dedication to Buddhism and Sinhalese heritage is a legacy of resilience and devotion that continues to inspire Sri Lankan people up until now. And thank you for your attention. And I welcome any questions or thoughts you might have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Holiness. I think that the scholar from this paper conducted a phenomenological analysis of Anagarika Dharmapala's ideology and activisms. Through their analysis, this study contributed to understanding Dharmapala's influence as both a spiritual leader and nationalist of the ideology, and illustrated how his personal experience informed his public mission to restore Buddhist and Sinhalese cultural identity in response to colonial oppression. I would like to invite two questions which can be raised both online and on-site.
Thank you so much, Venerable, for your presentations. Nice presentation about Anagarika Dharmapala. What make me interested about your title. So when I read your abstract, you did not mention here two words together, spiritual nationalism. You say that spirituality or nationalism, spiritual and nationalism, but in your keyword, you mention spiritual nationalism. But as soon as I see this word, I feel strange, something strange, no? And my question is, we accept that the Nagarika Dhammabala was nationalist. And he was spiritual as well. So it is acceptable, no argument about this. But that is the questions for clarification, Venerable. It's no argument, right? Could you please explain a little bit more about why these word together, spiritual nationalism? Thank you.
By spiritual, I am meaning here religious intentions that he had, and he always tried to make some impact on people about Buddhist teachings and Buddha's words, and also he was spiritual. And he tried to promote that spirituality can be practiced with the nationalist ideas, and he tried to create some trend where he can promote Buddhism and Buddhist practices as a part of social cohesion. He united people with Buddhist teachings and his Buddhist practices, and he always tried to promote the righteousness. That's why main text I have used is called Return to Righteousness. So that's why I have connected those two words here.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Hamutru. Can you hear? Can you hear us?
Yes. I can.
Thank you. So I'm Jali Panyatiri from Shan State Buddhist University. So I have one question. According to your paper, so I understand that Venerable Dhammapala is the Buddhist revivalist and anti-colonial nationalist. So he initiated the anti-colonial nationalist movement, yeah. So, but my interest is like, his movement fostered the cultural heritage in Bodh Gaya, and he got together all the monks and tried to get the Bodh Gaya's the heritage place and everything. And also his movement also initiated the educational institutions. So according to your paper. But I like to know is there any his movements or activities in the Padiyati in the teaching Buddhism after his this movement? Thank you, Bante.
I didn't get that question clearly. Are you asking whether he introduced some of Buddhist teachings to the people or something like that?
Yes, right. Yeah, Patipatti.
Yes, yes. Okay. He always talked
sorry,
about...
Padiyati. Padiyati Pat, yeah. I like to know his attempt and his contributions concerning the teaching of the teaching Buddhism, apart from this the nationalist movement.
Yeah, he initiated several schools. He in connection with other people who has worked for these nationalist movement, and those schools created a ground for Sinhalese people to learn, and also he has created a movement where people were encouraged to be teetotalers and avoid all the drinking and all the bad habits that has been brought upon us from the colonial era. And he always talked about ethics and our social cohesion and compassion. All those teachings we can learn from the Buddha. And he always encouraged people to be righteous and try to govern and direct their lives with Buddha's teachings. So I think that satisfies your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bante. Thank you very much.
Let me conclude that taking this opportunity to give my comments, I found that the topic is quite relevant and connect personal interests and in the research too. The researcher in this paper used Endeavours 14 very effectively, very relevant for key findings. And what I found out, another thing is that there are three beneficial comments from the last conclusion. The first one is deep connection to personal. Deep personal connection of, deep connection of personal to public, and the second one is clear use of phenomenology, and lastly, I found a balanced view of ideology. Thank you very much, Your Holiness. I would like to move to another topic, the second presentation, which is the title is From Scholar to Reformer, Vipula Rahula Thiro's Vision for a Modern Buddhist Education in the Post-Independence Sri Lanka. First, let me introduce with the authors. The first author is K.E. Utani Udya. He is a dedicated academic from Sri Lanka, currently serving as a temporary assistant lecturer in history at the Department of History and Archaeology at the University of Rahuna. Udani completed an impactful internship at the United Nations Population Fund in Sri Lanka in 2019, and he served as a research. He began his research assistant work and program coordinator at Vipula Rahula Institute. And Udani has contributed to academic community through publication in local channel, reflecting commitment to advancing historical scholarship. The second author of this presentation is Henda Kumpuri Priyantana Tharo. He is currently a second-year undergraduate pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Sanskrit at the Bhikshu University of Sri Lanka. From his early student life, Theo has shown a deep passion for research with a particular focus on Sanskrit language, and his interest in Sanskrit go beyond its linguistic elements. He engages in extensive study of its core system and application both historically and in a contemporary context. Currently, Priyantana Theo is involved in multiple research activities. So now let me hand over the floor to the presenters.
Good evening, all of you, honorable reverences, and all participants. Today we are going to talk about Vipula Rahula Thera's vision for modern Buddhist education, from scholar to reformer in post-independence Sri Lanka. So Walpura Rahula Thera was a great scholar as well as he was the reformer in post-independence Sri Lanka. So in this research, we mainly focus to study his reformist activities towards the enhancement of Buddhist education in Sri Lanka. Moving to the uh, research problem. This is our research problem. How Valpa Rahula Thera's advocacy for modern Buddhist education influenced the trajectory of Buddhist monastic engagement in politics and social uh, aspect in Sri Lanka during the post-colonial period. And here are several objectives of our research. First one is to analyze the life and education background of Baba Rahula Thera, and we discovered how it shaped his reformist ideas. Then we investigated the role of Baba Rahula Thera played in advocating the rights and active participations of Buddhist monks in especially in political and social affairs. Then our primary objective is to explore his contribution to the enhancement or to make it to develop the Buddhist education and its impact of post-colonial Sri Lanka. Here, this is when we talk about the methodology, this is the qualitative research, and here we use historical analytical approach, and as primary sources, we use Valpa Rahula Thera's publications and speeches and interviews, as well as contemporary newspapers, newspaper articles. As secondary sources, we use several biographical accounts and scholarly analysis, and several books, as well as web pages and historical records. Then to continue the discussions, I would like to invite Reverend Sir Hindakumariya Piyaratana. Reverend Sir, over to you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. From the time to time, revolutionary image from society is they become from his figure in the society because of their contributions and a form to introductions, new way of thinking to the society by pointing to the political, religion, societies, and cultures, missteps and weakness. So Walpola Rahula Thero is one of the great monks in who contributed to the Sri Lanka society immensely in the various perspective during his sermons. Venerable Rahula regionally in the importance of practice the Dhammas and originally taught by the Buddha and the importance of the critical thinking. Venerable Professor Walpa Rahula was born on 19 of May 97 in the village of Walpula in the southern Sri Lanka. In 1920, at the age of 13, he was ordained as a Buddhist monk. He received his initial monastic training under the Venerable his Paragoda Sumanasara, a highly reserved monk who strictly adhered to the monastic code of continued for the teachers. Venerable Rahul received the complete training required for a monk, which including language skill and how to live a fugal's life. He engaged in the monastic practice such as meditation and Pindapatha, Other than the education by Venerable Sumanasara until the admits to the University of London, Venerable Rahula did not not receive any formal education. The next notable praise in the Venerable Rahula's life was when he studied at the affiliated College of University of London in Colombo in 1941. He graduated with a honors degree in Eastern language, becoming the first Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka to receive university education. Even as university student, he continued to help people in the need of help. His service during the 1936 malaria epidemic was recognized in the book Buddhist Studies is a Honors of Walper Rahula by E.F.C. Ludwig, professor at the university at that time. Continued research activities after his uh, undergraduate degrees. He a doctorate from the University of Ceylon of he thesis some accept of the history of Buddhism in Ceylon. So thank you. To continue, I would you like to invite Miss Udani.
Thank you, Venerable Sir. When we talk about the Valparahula Thera's contribution toward the enhancement of Buddhist education during the post-colonial period, he wrote several books. He composed notable books which can give a great idea about the Buddhism and the real thoughts of Lord Buddha. The first one is Heritage of the Bhikkhu. Here you can see the book, and it's always addressed the advocated monastic engagement in socio-political affairs, and the book called what the Buddha Thought. This is the book, a highly influential book introducing Buddhism to the West. I think you may know this book. This is the book referred by the Europeans, most of the Europeans, to gain the knowledge about the Buddhism. And instead of that, there is a translation work led by Valparahula Thera. He translated Abhidhamma into the French. So that was there are some masterpieces of Valparahula Thera. Then during post-colonial periods, there was a really criticism for intervening Buddhist monk in political affairs in Sri Lanka. But actually the existence government with the especially the followers of D.S. Senanayake, they strictly criticize the engagement of Buddhist monk with political affairs. Then there was a movement to purify the Buddha Sasana, Buddhist ordain. Then the D.S. Senanayake, he wanted to pass the bill in the parliament to punish, to give some punish and make necessary actions against the Buddhist monk who engaged in politics. Under that circumstance, several Buddhist monks who studied in the Vidyalankara Pirivena, they strictly opposed this bill, and they established Lanka Exat Bhikshu Balamandalya, the United Bhikshu Association. Then Valpara Rahula Thera was the prominent figure of this campaign. Then he delivered a very energetic speech emphasizing the role of the Buddhist monk intervening with the political affairs, and he mentioned how Buddhist monk engaged with political affairs from Anuradhapura era. Then this speech was published as a book called The Heritage of the Bhikkhu. This book was really famous, and it is mentioned, the first print of this book. Here you can see the heritage of the book, Heritage of the Bhikkhu. This book was sold within 3 or 4 weeks And then there was another movement in Sri Lanka about the pre-education bill, passing the pre-education in the parliament. The parliament member, CWW Kannangara, he was really trying to pass this bill, but other prominent parliament members in that state council were really opposed to pass this bill. Under that circumstance also, Walpa Rahulathera mentioned, no, this should be passed. The pre-education in this Sri Lanka should be established. So, with the intervenience of Walpa Rahulathera and other bhikkhus like Yakkaduwe Pannarama, there are several laymen and Buddhist monk figures who engaged with those movements. As a result, the pre-education bill was passed, and the pre-education is there in Sri Lanka even at present. Then, Walpa Rahulathera held several academic positions. He acted as an ambassador of Buddhism in France in the USA, and he was the vice chancellor at Vidyodaya University. He reformed academic standards, and he was an advisor at the Oxford University and held positions in various American universities. Here you can see a picture with the professor of Professor Shock Mackay at California University, and most prominent, most significant contribution of Walpa Rahulathera for the enhancement of the Buddhist education in Sri Lanka is the establishment of Pali and Buddhist University in Sri Lanka. It's focused to the enhancement of Buddhist monks. Buddhist monks can follow masters and other postgraduate degrees in that university. Here you can see several pictures on the screen. These are the opening ceremony of Pali and Buddhist University. And then to conclude, what I want to emphasize here, Walpa Rahulathera, he was a scholar and he had a great knowledge and he was fluent in several languages, and he always emphasized the bhikkhu's knowledgeability, and he always encouraged Buddhist monks should be educated. Then with these objectives, with this ideology, he was not a Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka, and he represented Buddhist monk and Buddha Sasana all over the world. So then here, Venerable Rahulathera practical applications of Dhamma and scholarly rigors shape modern Buddhist thought and education. His legacy continued in Buddhist institutions and his influential publications. And here there are several pictures of Walpa Rahulatheras, and here Walpa Rahulathera with Krishnamurti in America, and then here you can see several one picture with one of the conference, and here is the Professor Ludovic. He was the most influenced person to the Walpa Rahulathera's academic journey, and then Walpa Rahulathera established a center, Buddhist center. Actually, it's a Buddhist institution, and even at the present, its function, that is Walpa Rahula Institute, nowadays, Galkande Dhammanand, who was the student of Walpa Rahulathera, led by this institution, all of the ones, if anyone can from all over the world can visit there and can learn everything with the free mind, and there is a freedom, no any barriers here. So with this, it's come to the end of my presentation. Here are some references that I have used. Yeah, thank you for attention me.
Thank you, Udani. Hinda Kumpure, for your well-structured presentation. And we have come to get some clear picture of the life of Walpa Rahulathera's life, and we also got some glimpses of Sri Lanka in the post-colonial period. especially now we come to understand why you wanted to say, use the term from scholar to reformer. Thank you very much. The audience turn to, we can have 2 questions to ask to the presenter. Or any comments? If you don't have any question, I would like to give some comments, a few comments. The topics is quite relevant, and what you have done is very original, and you also have got clear research problem, and you use comprehensive research methodology, and you discuss well indeed. So I would like to give further comment maybe in the next session tomorrow in the moderator's report. I like your presentation very much. Thank you very much. Now let's move to the third and last paper presentation. The title is Innovative Buddhist Meditation Techniques, a holistic approach to addressing mental health challenges at the University of Paradania. Now, let me introduce the scholar, Professor Shan Mahendra Herat, is esteemed head of Department of Pali and Buddhist Study at the University of Paradania. He has an extensive academic background with a Bachelor of Arts honors and a Doctor of Philosophy, both obtained from the University of Paradania. His PhD thesis was a critical study of Buddhism, Dhammaka, sorry for my incorrect pronunciation. Throughout his illustrious career, Dr. Herat has held various teaching positions at the University of Paradania and other prestigious institutions. He has also served as a visiting lecturer at the University of Siriyawa, Danyapura, and as a director at the Sri Lanka International Buddhist Academy. Dr. Herat's vision is to lead the global effort to expand and enhance research and education in Buddhist study, fostering a deeper understanding of Buddhist doctrines and their relevance to modern society. Now, let us give this opportunity to the presenter. Now, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So, Venerable Mahasangha, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you very much for inviting me and give the opportunity to make my presentations in this prestigious international conference. First of all, I would like to take 1 minute to congratulate to the conference as well as the most Venerable Kammai Dhammasami. So on the joyous occasion of the 60th birthday anniversary, we extend our warmest congratulations to you, Most Venerable Professor Dr. Kammai Dhammasami. Your vision, dedication, and the pioneering effort in establishing Shan State Buddhist University have been inspirations to countless individuals in the Buddhist community and beyond. Through your teaching, research, leadership, you have advanced the practice, understanding the Buddhism on a global scale, nurturing generations of students and scholars who are deeply grateful for your wisdom and guidance. As we gather at the 11th International Conference, the Endeavours of a prominent figure in teaching and practicing Buddhism, to honor your remarkable achievement, may these milestone celebrations bring you joy and fulfillment. May your journey continue to inspire and illuminate the path for many more to come. Okay, thank you. So now I would like to move to my presentation. So I'm going to present my presentation on innovative Buddhist meditation techniques, a holistic approach to addressing mental health challenging at the University of Peradeniya. So the effect of the innovative Buddhist meditation techniques as a possible treatment for the increase in number of stress, depressions, and suicide among the University of Peradeniya employees and students. The tragic event has a plug with the university, which is the renowned for the natural beauty, with the Mahavali River running through it and railway road lines around it. It has been marred by tragic incidents. So, as you know that, and there are a lot of students from Myanmar. Those who know very well, the University of Peradeniya is a very established in the very beautiful environment. And peaceful environment, but we can see that the railway as well as the Mahabali River and this large area brings the sorrowful news to us. So that's why the hidden message, we have to concern the hidden message from the environment. Over the past few years, 1,700 students have reported the experiencing the significant mental health issues. So they have the different type of mental issues based on their education as well as their family backgrounds. When we analyze their issues, we came to know that most of the issues are based on their current education system. Some are related to their family backgrounds. 10 students have lost their lives to suicide. One of these students has completed degree in psychology, and a counseling lecturer also attempted to suicide by ingesting poisons. These events are stark reminders of the mental health crisis facing the university community. Okay. Methodology of this study is that data for the study has been collected from the study and the primary Buddhist teachings related to this field. The method followed for this paper will be drawn to narrative by the interpreting the data from the field study and then related it with the secondary sources. We can see that some sorrowful messages came from the students. I quoted from two incidents among them. The one student who was 25 years old from the Faculty of Science, she jumped into the railway and suicide. It's a very sorrowful incident occurred in recent past. And next incident on the August 31st, the young man students suffering from the mental tension and sadness plugged into the Mahavali River and drowned. He was a student of the Faculty of Engineering, University of Peradeniya. And the second one is on the 16th, the student pursuing the Bachelor of Degree in Psychology at the University of Peradeniya committed himself by jumping into the Mahavali River because he could not handle the stress. So we can see that the second students reached to the top of level of the GPA average, but he had a lot of issues, but she met the counselors, but unfortunately, we cannot save his life. She also could not handle his stress. Stress and suicide, the occurrences that are reported observed the daily basis show that the mental stress of our country's young sons and girls increase dramatically. Stress is a mental condition that occurs spontaneously. When dealing with stress emotions, this is referred as developing. When you are under the lot of stress, it might become an issue. Irritably, the low mental status, low self-esteem, frequent unpleasant thoughts, difficulties concentrating, sweating, and other symptoms of mental stress. These symptoms differ from one person to another person. Okay, when we examine the students, they explain their difficulties in different forms and different context. So therefore, the stress is differ from person to person, and sometimes the reasons are differ from person to person related to the stress. It is usual among the today's kids slips into the numerous troubles and endanger their lives as a result of this uh, predicament, and weaknesses in our country education system also play a significant role in this situation. So when we examine that, we identify that the basic symptoms of mental illnesses: presence of the persistent low mood lasting more than 2 weeks, feeling hopelessness and persistent disappointment, loss of interest, previously enjoyed activities, lack of motivation, desire to engage in any work, self-harming behaviors, persistent instructive thoughts such as feeling and the life is a burden. So in this context, the student face the difficult situations and they cannot tolerate this situation. So the majority of the students reach to the treatments, but some of students gave up their lives. Factors that contribute to this crisis include in financial difficulties in the family. So the family, they have the different family backgrounds. Some students face the huge the economic crisis. So they cannot the parents cannot provide the sufficient say, financial support to those students. So they face the difficulties to continue their educations, and sometimes they cannot provide their meal per day. Some students limited to the 2 meals, and some students limited to the 1 meal per day. And sometimes we can hear the very sorrowful news from the students. Some students sleeps on Saturday weekends or holidays up to the noon, because they want to pass the 1 meal. When they sleep, they can pass the 1 meal and they can take the 1 meal per day. So that is the sorrowful incidents occurred in these situations. And some students cope with these financial difficulties and they engage in the different economic earnings, like they work in the shops and other places to support their family members and maintain their educations. Challenge in academic programs is a current society. It is a huge damage to the. So they work and they study, then the examinations, assignments, so they cannot manage that. But we support the students how to cope with that and how to manage this one. So a student cannot don't have the sufficient knowledge to manage this one. And feelings and loneliness, lack of emotional resilience, and the emotion and hatred and rage are the very huge damage to those student systems. And medical treatments, the chief medical officer of the University of Peradeniya Health Center says that 140 female students have come to get the psychological counseling service from the University of Peradeniya Health Center since last August. She said that about 10% of these students hospitalized and treated. The doctor said that some of the students have become extremely depressed and had even tired to endanger their lives. So these severe situations occurred in this society. And the study proposed that the implementation of the Buddhist meditation techniques related to the relaxation exercise, alternative mental and distress. The key interventions include the incorporation of the mindfulness practice, such as mindfulness eating, a mindful observation of the environment, alongside the Dharma discussions and activities aim to promoting the engagement with the literature, art, and architecture. Additionally, therapeutic benefit, music, drama, and the other creative pursuit to emphasize as complementary approaches. So as the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies organ the different type of workshops to overcome such kind of barriers or such kind of difficulties, and we support the students how to cope with that. So I can show this one to that the most of the students join to these programs, and they learned and how to cope with the stress and depressions. Okay, the two workshops we organize, and we support the students to and provide the right message as well as the right understanding to handle the stress and depression themselves. And this suggests the study suggests using Buddhist meditation method and associated relaxation exercises to address these issues and reduce mental distress. Incorporating mindfulness exercise like mindful eating and all attractive environmental observations, as well as the Dharma talk and activities that encourage interaction with the literature, art, and architecture are important treatments. The therapeutic advantages of the theater, music, and the other creative hobbies are also highlighted the complementary strategies. So communicate with your loved and ones frequently, and share your sorrows. Spend with the time with the friends and fans. So think positively at the all time. Stress is a condition that medication cannot completely treat. Meditation, love, kindness are best medicines. If close friends, relatives is under mental stress, then the guide the students, they have to should refer them the counseling and anger control techniques. So we provide the proper guidance to the students to take to handle their stress and depression themselves, to address in the meditation and relaxations. And after that, we help support them to get the proper counseling treatment to overcome uh, such kind of bads and the harmful mental illnesses. Okay, those are the things I have to convey this occasion. So thank you very much for you listening to me. And if you have any questions, I welcome those.
Yes, thank you, Madam. According to his paper, his university has got as such in the mental issues. This is very usual in a university. The author aimed to investigate effectiveness of innovative Buddhist meditation techniques as a therapeutic approach to mitigate mental distress among university students. And he identified there are some contributing mental health issues, and he proposes some techniques. So let me turn to the audience. If you have some question, you can ask too.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for sharing with us the problems that you have and the crisis that you are encountering at the current. And I think when you say about the innovative Buddhist meditation techniques, do you also include the practice of the compassion and appreciative joint, karuna and mudita, in that daily life and the contemplation practice?
Yes, we guide the students how to work on this one. So it is not easy task to develop the inner qualities of the particular students. So we group the students and we direct the students to how to develop these inner qualities like compassionate and loving kindness or metta karuna. So how to support that one? So the main issue of those students is that they are full of depressions. They cannot close their eyes also sometimes. For for the one thing is but no need to close their eyes, but they cannot concentrate their mind also particular object. So that's the issue. So therefore we direct the students and we group the students and we give the object to then those students to work on it and develop the loving kindness as well as the compassionate in their minds.
Yeah, thank you. I think our Rector Sayadaw, Sayadaw Dr. Kamai Dhammasami often guide these and about the mindful way of living and contemplation in daily life. And like even in the West, the kids started to have mindful eating, like biscuit eating, and like those, the extent that they would be able to accept those who are new to the meditation so that they don't get frightened or like distracted away from these things, such as something that is alien and like something that they can't reach. So just my sincere suggestion, because it's saddening to hear that the moderator Siaji has mentioned it's usual for the university students, but when this happened especially in the Buddhist countries and like where you also have the psychotherapy, which you specialize in, like even we have interest in to learn and to explore this. So if we can really put into practice, then I think it would help a lot. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I hope that you would be able to implement more practical way, starting from the minor approach and make as a gradual practice. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I want one thing to clarify that there are large group of students, more than 50,000 students in these premises, and among them, nearly 5,000 students are in our faculty. So the faculty, the established the counseling center, and they address the Western counseling technique. Simultaneously, the Department of Buddhist Studies, so we implement that to implement the Buddhist techniques as well as meditations to overcome this stress and depression. Thank for your guidance, and we are going to discuss with you and going to implement these new techniques and approaches.
Yes, we have one more question.
Professor, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. This is really interesting and also really something, the message that you give to us. So I am Venerable Dhammasami. I am from Shan State Buddhist University. So allow me to ask two questions. The first question is that as the stress, when the stress level is low, is not induced to come to the stage of suicide. But when it comes to suicide, it's a very intense emotion and situation of the stress. So then my first question is that, could you please explain more the therapeutic process of the Pirataniya University of your department that you give the workshop to the lecturers and students? And can you give more specific how you use the innovative Buddhist meditation technique, integrating with the music and art and therapy, and how do you apply it? This is the first questions. And the second question is, I wonder, after you offer the workshop and the course of the therapeutics process that you just explained about the Buddhist meditation process, Is there any research or finding after that? Is there any? I just wonder, interesting that how the effective of innovative meditation process in using the helping the lecturers and students, because the number of students and lecturers at the university is quite high. So when I first heard that, I'm really quite shocked. So then how, is there any research already done after that you find this one, and when you offer? This is the second question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Venerable Sir, for your questions and the comments. Thank you for giving me opportunity. So then according to the university system, there are the student counselors from the each department, and the proctors are there. They are waiting to listen to the students, and the student can report the particular student counselors. So they are the senior academics, and from the each department. So the students can discuss with them, and so the faculty and the university give the responsibility to the each department to handle their students. And if there are severe incidents, and they have to the university establish the counseling centers and the medical center, and there are the several counselors are waiting to support the students. So apart from that, then if they cannot treat to those students and apply, so they send to the government hospital for the treatments. So if they are faced the severe stress and depression, we cannot cope with them. So the issue is that the students ashamed to reveal their issues, and whether they are in the depression or stress, they don't like to say the others. So at the last level, they report to their counselors and the counseling centers and medical centers. We face such kind of difficulties. So it is the huge difficulty we face. And apart from that, and the department the implement that, and we implement the sati and the mindfulness, as well as the anapanasati and the simple relaxation meditations, and some discussions. And so then we organize that the meditation retreat, and after that we discuss the students what are their experience. And so then there are meditation teachers, and apart from that, department offer the different type of courses for our students, like Buddhist psychology and mental development, mental culture, and personal development. So such kind of the courses are there. So there are so many opportunities to support the students. So then, but in this faculty, but when you go beyond this, the next faculties, they also handle these issues, because they recruit the counselors in the faculty, and doctors are there, so they apply the Western medical treatments to overcome such kind of issues. Okay, I took that too much time. Then I think that is it okay, or if you need any clarification, let me know, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, professors, for your answering. Yes, thank you.
Now, let me give the opportunity to ask question. Those who raise your hand, someone, you can ask. You can unmute your microphone and ask question.
Thank you, moderator. I have one little question or suggestion, if you like, coming from language and human resources background. So I have some experience with community development and these informal sort of education project experience. The speaker and all these university members already talk high-end educational, psychological supports and everything. So I'm not going to touch that area. But what I really like to suggest is one little thing. If you remember basic needs of Maslow and all, when you keep talking about these students, required social, financial sort of supports and helps. I would suggest if university have enough funding and all, why don't you just provide one free meal like SS University is doing now, free lodging, free meals. These are the tangible assistance that students can immediately benefit. I mean, for the longer term, of course, you have much better programs psychologically, emotionally, you can always develop. But immediately, I think if you provide some free meals and some pocket monies or stipend sort of stuff, the students will be super happy, and I think you can be able to control much endangered life, taking their own lives and more, which is really sad when you talk about hundreds of students endangering their own lives. Yeah, thank you. That's my little suggestion to the speaker. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your session. Now, it is since we are very late in the last session, I would like to extend my maybe sincere apologies for the session running over time. I truly appreciate everyone's patience and understanding, and hope I found that discussion as enriching as we did. Thank you for staying with us, and I hope you will continue your engagement tomorrow. I'm looking forward to your session in the tomorrow. Now let me transfer our floor to the MC.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jishuan, for leading our session today. Additionally, I would like to extend our appreciation to our speakers for their invaluable insight and contributions. We wish to express our gratitude, and we will be sending certificates of acknowledgement over email shortly. For our moderator, may I invite our Most Venerable Rector Sayadaw to approach and present a certificate of acknowledgement to Dr. Jishuan for moderating our session today. This session marks the end of our first day of presentations on the endeavors of prominent figures in teaching and practicing Buddhism, celebrating the 60th birthday of our Rector Sayadaw, Dr. Kamai Dhammasami. For your information, we will resume our conference tomorrow at 7 a.m. local time. We hope to see you again.